there's a lot of story around Manchester United containing Alex Ferguson and Erik Ten Hag for sure. And hey, what's Chelsea doing right now? Things are just working perfectly for the Blues. What is the reason behind it? The Capitano is back. Rhys James will be playing or featuring against Liverpool in this weekend game. And a lot of games are coming on your way as well. With me, it's Sane and Eddie and Emmanuel. If you just join us and you are new, hit the subscription button, like and share the video. What's up, guys? Welcome to Achilles Sports. For sure, we give you at the best. Eddie, the stories behind Alex Ferguson. His contract has been terminated, but he's always welcome to Old Trafford to watch any game he wants. Do you think it's fair?
All right, so I think now it's a new members or the new board in charge of Manchester United. Other people like the Ineos, with all this back and forth. I think there's a lot of things happening in Manchester United, and now they decided to probably cancel his contract or reduce his share in Manchester United. But they've given him the opportunity to probably come and watch the United games in Old Trafford, and I think it's good. On the other side, it's good. On the other side, too, I think he's back. The betterment of Manchester United, we need to probably cut off certain things. Now we are also, the focus of Manchester United now is probably to build a facility. We are still on it, and also get good players as well. Yeah. So I think on the long run, he also understood, and it's good for Manchester United. Yeah. Since he has been welcomed, given the opportunity to come and watch games in Old Trafford. Yeah.
So
Just to add to that, I think what the Ineos have done previously is saying that they want to cut down costs in United. When they came to get the United team, they've realized that there's a lot of unnecessary costs, especially even with the Christmas bonuses, a lot of stuff that we know that they've cut. Those times when it gets into some periods, some staffs they cut down staffs, they cut down those bonuses, and now they are looking forward to. In fact, they have terminated the contract for Alex Ferguson. Personally, I think it's a good thing because it's high time they move away from Ferguson because, as Eddie said, he's old and now they need a new person in the system to come and give the ideas. His purpose was to be an advisor, and looking at the way that United is going, they need someone fresh, someone who has new ideas. So I think it's the perfect thing to do. So if you're a United fan, I know that yes, you love Alex Ferguson, but then it's a step in the right direction for United, I think.
Do you think the cutting of the cost and everything that they are dealing with currently, do you think is going to be good for Erik Ten Hag as a coach managing a football club like Manchester United?
Erik Ten Hag's business is on the pitch. I don't know whether cutting costs and everything will affect him. What he has to do is, help the team function properly on the field. Whatever goes on with the financial aspect of the team, it's none of his business. He has to focus on, improving the boys and, winning the games for the club. For the administration and, those signings and other stuff, I think they have to leave it to the board and everything. But for Erik Ten Hag's duties is to, shape the players, give them the proper training for them to, compete with the teams in the English Premier League. So I feel like whatever is going on with, I don't know whether he stepped down or they cancelled his contract with Alex Ferguson. I think it doesn't affect Ten Hag in any way. What Ten Hag has to do is to start winning games so that he can secure his job. Because now his job too is on the line. Maybe, who knows, maybe after the Brentford game, if he loses a point or maybe loses the game against Brentford this weekend, they might show him the exit too. Because now if they are cutting costs, Erik Ten Hag too is another cost for the team. They can also try and cut that cost too. Yeah, you are spending on the person. Every week you pay the coach. So if the manager is not performing and you want to cut costs by taking Alex Ferguson's job from him, you should as well think about sacking Erik Ten Hag too if he's not performing. So I feel like whatever goes on with Alex Ferguson has no business with Erik Ten Hag. He should just win his games and improve the boys. That's all.
Last meeting of Manchester United board, everyone thought the focus was to sack Erik Ten Hag, but it looks like they have reaffirmed him, and fans are not happy with that. Do you think there's going to be changes around them? Maybe probably they're also thinking about the cost and the money they will pay if they sack the coach.
Yeah, so after the meeting, we are all expecting Ten Hag to be sacked, but then sources close to the board has actually revealed the reason why Ten Hag still has his job. It's stated that right now they don't see any eligible candidate for the job. all the good candidates have been linked to different jobs, and it's making it becoming difficult for them to sack him. Right now, if you sack a coach like him, who are you bringing into the team? So now they are saying that they really want to get some time and look at different profiles and now do a very good selection, because if you watch for the past 4 or 5 managers, it has been all over the place. So this time they want to do something like a project like what Man City did. They bring in someone that they feel like is competent enough to take the club to a new level. So that is why they are still pausing on the Erik Ten Hag's decision. But then the information gave, he should make sure that he is going to win the games. If not, they said it clearly that his job is on the line. It's been clear to him. So right now he knows that any listing that he does, he can leave. Other people are also suggesting that even if he leaves, they can bring in someone like these old United players who was sometime an interim coach. They have the likes of Ragnick, Oli. They should bring back Oli for the time being while they look for a new coach. So I think all these things have been discussed with Ten Hag, but then everything depends on the board and what Ten Hag is going to do. If Ten Hag starts winning games, I think it will give more confidence to the board. But if not, they might see him gone.
And it looks like sources was also linking Manchester United to Zinedine Zidane. Do you think it's something that we can see in the Premier League?
All right, so I think once linking Zidane to Manchester United, I think personally Zidane stated that he is leaving football for some time, and it's up to him to make his decision whether to return to football once again. And if he's returned to football, is he considering coming to the EPL? That's one question we should also consider. Yeah. So if all these things, we get answers to all these things, I think we will probably find out whether he will be coaching Manchester United. And don't get me wrong, Manchester United is a big club in England, and Zidane will consider to handle Manchester United and put Manchester United in the right direction if things are not going well. Yeah. And all football fans will be happy to see Zidane once again on the sidelines coaching a team like Manchester United, because we also his impact in Real Madrid after winning the Champions League for Real Madrid and also the league title as well. Yeah, so coming to Manchester United, as a Manchester United fan, I'll be probably happy to see him in Manchester United.
Ima, I hate to ask you this question, but hey, Arsenal fan and Chelsea, I don't know, but hey, I will so ask you because you will be fair to ask. For sure, looking at the development of Chelsea after the taking over of Maresca, I mean, the recent games and recent performance with the team, do you think they are up the task against Liverpool in
Yeah, for me, I feel like Ancelotti is also doing a good job with Liverpool, and we've seen them in the Premier League. They are the league leaders as we are talking. It's going to be a difficult game for Enzo Maresca. Though Chelsea are playing well, I feel the international break will affect them a bit because the players are coming back from international duties. I don't know the number of players that went to play for their national teams for Chelsea, but I know of a couple of them that went to play for their national teams for Liverpool. We can mention of Luis Diaz and other guys. I think it's going to be a very, very difficult game for Chelsea. For me, this will be a very big test for Enzo Maresca. If he should win this game, then we can start having a conversation of him playing the top four this season. For me, I'm still not convinced he will play the top four this season. But if you start winning games like Liverpool and start competing with the big boys, then we can have that conversation. Once we've not seen him at his best, because I think this season he's only played with Manchester City and he lost. Yeah, that was his first game, right? And he lost to Manchester City. So he playing on a slot 2 is another test for us to see whether Chelsea are up there or maybe they are still trying to find their feet. Maybe with 1 or 2 games they will get there. But it's still early days yet. Though on a slot 2 is new with Liverpool setup, but I feel like they have the core of the team already, so he doesn't need to do much for the Liverpool setup. But Enzo Maresca is trying to change this whole Chelsea team and bring a different kind of football they want to play. For me, I feel it's a big test. Let's wait for the game to finish on Sunday. Then we can have that proper conversation concerning whether Enzo Maresca is really up to the job for Chelsea. But even if he loses, for me, I feel like this season Chelsea will be somewhere somewhere good on the table, not like last season, because the way they are playing, if they continue playing like that, I feel maybe 5th or maybe 6th won't be that bad for Chelsea. But Enzo Maresca, for the past games that I've seen, he's doing a very great job for Chelsea. So we should just give him time and see what he can do for the club.
The resume game back into the side, and we have a couple of players who are going to be missing that game, like Enzo Fernandez will not be playing in that game. Cucurella and Fofana will not be playing that game. Do you think it will affect the team?
All right, so looking at the squad depth of Chelsea, I think Chelsea fans should be happy for the return of Rhys James. But as I said earlier, looking at the squad depth of Chelsea, I think these players makes sense shouldn't affect the play of Chelsea.
Okay.
Yeah, and probably played against Liverpool. I think Enzo Maresca is a good coach. We've all seen his performance this season. We've all seen his tactics this season, and some of the boys are there to probably lead Chelsea. Because if you analyze the game of Chelsea, probably I think the last 2 games, you will see Kopama giving you the goals, the assists. So Reece James at the captain also at the back. He's going to find a bit difficult because it's been a long time we saw him in the blue jersey. So it's going to find a bit difficult, but I think things will be good for Chelsea. Yeah.
I know I hate to ask you this, but I know you're a Barcelona fan and you have some spot for Pep Guardiola. But Pep Guardiola and his slot, who will you pick currently in Premier League currently? Premier League performance this season.
That is a very tough question because in order to get your full squad, you need all your players, and we've seen that Pep Guardiola has not had all his players for some time now. Looking at Arne Slot to coming inside and being out number one in the top tier, it's been good. But looking at the gameplay, I'll still go for Guardiola. I'll still go for Guardiola because of the gameplay, because of the detailed and his decision making, and I think he's still a top coach, even though he's on the third position. I think he's still a top coach.
England job position for Thomas Tuchel, the Chelsea former coach, has been linked to the FA of England, and I heard they are already been discussing with his agents. What do you think about that link?
I think this story started coming almost some months ago when they started looking for candidates for the England job. And we heard a lot of names, and I think they are still narrowing down to the likes of Guardiola and the likes of Thomas Tuchel. Unfortunately, I think Guardiola has said it in a way, but he has not been so clear to them that he's not interested in the job. And if you want to get a top quality coach who currently has no job, there's no other person than Thomas Tuchel. So I think they are also discussing it to see if it's also feasible enough to get him on board. At the end of the day, there should still be some names being mentioned. So right now, I think it's a good thing that the England FA is doing. Because in order for the Three Lions to at least lift the trophy, they need a top coach. And ideally, Guardiola would have been the best. But for Guardiola's sidelining the England board, I think Thomas Tuchel is a good fit. So it will depend on how they talk. But then I'm only saying this. There will be another name mentioned very soon.
There will be another name for sure.
Yeah, for me, I heard this news coming I think some weeks ago. It was between Pep Guardiola and Thomas Tuchel after Gareth Southgate stepped down as the English head coach. For me, I feel like I don't know, but this kind of stories when they start coming in, maybe there's a bit of truth in it. Maybe they've talked behind closed doors. Sorry.
I suppose.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying maybe sometimes they can also be rumors, but I feel like maybe possibly they've been talking by backstage and everything. But I don't think Thomas Tuchel is the right man for the English national team job. For me, I feel like he's more of like club team football manager than the national team. As we know of him, he hasn't handled any team that you can confidently say he can manage these English boys very well. I think the best manager for this English job was Gareth Southgate, and he's stepping aside. I think they should find another English manager or a British manager who has the capacity to manage these boys very well. Sometimes language, I know Thomas Tuchel can speak a very good English, but sometimes these boys, when you are not one of their own, and the backlash from the media and everything. We also Southgate to have like his fault and everything, but these English media will try to cover it up and everything. If they don't get a person like one of their own to manage these boys very well, it will end up being like I don't know, but this whole thing will not work out for them. I feel like they should just get either a British manager. For me, I feel this guy too is at home. This former Chelsea manager, I've forgotten the name, Graham Potter. They can also talk to Graham Potter because he's like more of like an English and he understands the boys very well. Thomas Tuchel coming in, I don't think it will be the best idea for the English national. Looking at where the boys are now, like with the likes of Phil Foden, Jude Bellingham, and other guys, I feel they should just get one of their own so that he can, have that relationship with the boys. Yeah.
But talking
Uh,
of the coach, if you are already that, Ima, I think now they have to try a new manager, because sometimes considering their own, as you said, Southgate was given the job for several years, but he will take them to the destination, finals. You also the back-to-back finals, but they weren't able to lift the finals. They were like something. They are lacking something, So now they have to bring in someone who will be able to lead them to the promised land, so lead them to lift the trophy as well, And Thomas Tuchel, let's not forget, he was the manager of PSG. You know what he did in PSG. He came to Chelsea. You know what he did in Chelsea. He came to Bayern. Checking off his profile, he has good clubs in England, or that in Europe as well. I think he's the right one for the job. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt, give him the club, and let's see how he will turn things around for the England boys. Because now it's been almost over 60 years now. They've been saying it's coming, but it's never arrived. Yeah, so that's what they're looking for. Thomas Tuchel is the right one for the job.
okay. Thank you very much, guys. If you enjoy, subscribe and share the video. It's very important. And be part of this community as well. And your opinions are also welcome. Ciao.